Venezuela's long-standing president, Hugo Chavez, has died after losing a battle against cancer, which lasted almost 2 years. The charismatic leader suffered a number of health complications after returning from his latest round of treatment in Cuba. 7 days of mourning have started in a country where millions are grieving. Words of condolence have come in from around the world, including from traditionally friendly Latin American states, plus Russia and the U.S. But amongst the sadness, also anger. Venezuela's vice president, Nicolas Maduro, who broke the news and assumed interim leadership, accused the country's historical enemies, quote unquote, of having a hand in his death. Chavez held a hard-line anti-U.S. stance during 14 years in power. His latest re-election challenge coming last October. RT's Marina Portnaya has more from New York.
President Hugo Chavez died around 16:25, that's 4:45 p.m. Caracas time, at a military hospital. Now, Venezuelan Vice President Nicolas Maduro, accompanied by senior ministers, announced that President Chavez had passed, describing the news as a moment of deep pain. Now, the country's national armed forces also pledged their unconditional allegiance to Vice President Maduro. Chavez, before he passed many weeks ago, said that when the time would come, he would like for Maduro to be his successor. Now, the vote for the new president should be held within the next 30 days and will likely pit Vice President Maduro against Enrique Capriles, the opposition leader and state governor who lost to Chavez in the October election. One recent opinion poll gave Maduro a strong lead, enjoying much support among many of the working class. Capriles, in the meantime, flew over to the United States over the weekend, visiting Miami and New York. Author and journalist Eva Gollinger says it's no coincidence that during a time of instability in Venezuela, the opposition leader from that country is attending meetings in the United States.
This has been also typical over the past few years, over the past decade, really, of members of the opposition in Venezuela frequently coming to the United States to meet with their either financiers, because they get multi-million-dollar funding from the U.S. government and its different agencies, or from its allies, their allies here in the United States. Primarily members of former administrations, the Bush administration, but also the actual administration. And clearly, Enrique Capriles was coming to the United States, to Miami, to New York, to meet with these individuals to discuss the future of Venezuela, if you want to put it that way.
Chavez was one of the world's best-known socialist leaders and a staunch critic of the United States. Chavez never held back on criticizing what he called the imperialistic motives of the West. He ruled his country, a country with the world's largest oil reserves, for 14 years. He was a powerful player in the world of geopolitics. I could tell you, when he was visiting New York City for the annual United Nations General Assembly debate, everybody anticipated that his speech, the international body, would be one that made headlines, because he never held back, he never minced his words, he always took on a challenge, and he clearly was not intimidated to take on the United States and its Western allies. Of course, Venezuela and the United States didn't have good diplomatic relations. There's been comments coming from Washington with officials expressing that maybe in the future now the U.S. and Venezuela might have better diplomatic relations. But Hugo Chavez, whether you loved him or hate him, he leaves enormous big shoes to fill.